Today is the 7th of April 2022. It is a Thursday today, so tomorrow's Friday, yay. Actually, you know what? I never thought I would care about, whether tomorrow's Friday or whether the weekend is near or something like that. Not until I started to work. Before I've always been a student until last year, around July, August, I started to have my first job. I started to have weekends as an employee. It's totally different if you think about it. When you're a student, it doesn't matter at which stage of your student career is. It's always less fun to have a weekend than a working employee or employer, whatever. For example, when you're in primary school or middle school or high school, something like that, at least for me, weekends are no fun because you have to have homework, right? Those teachers and schools and parents, they just can't let you have a weekend without worry, without tasks. You always have to do homework, and sometimes it's even worse because you have a lot of homeworks and you're not very organized, not very self-disciplined. So it will probably take you a day and a half to have fun with guilt in your mind because, oh my god, I have a lot of homework to do, but I don't want to do it right now. Let's just have fun first, and then you can't completely enjoy yourself because the last half day of your weekend is going to be hell because you have to do all those homeworks. So also, I don't know if you know, or I don't know if it's the same situation in the US, but in China, basically you can't just have like 5 days at school and then have fun or play around in the weekends. You always have to have these classes, like these fucking Olympic mathematical classes. It sounds depressing, right? But you have to have it. Everybody has to do a little extra, and it's getting worse. And that's a topic for that time. Anyways, it doesn't matter if you're in college, because college time, well, the weekends, I guess, it's a little bit better. But for me, when I was in college, I heavily participated in the debate team. I was, playing around with the debate team guys, planning matches, practice, going to the matches, all the time. So those debate matches always set up in the weekends. So that's actually the busiest time of my college time. Just prepare the debate matches. And there's a lot of homeworks as well, especially in college time. The homeworks are not as easy as it gets in the high school or even before. It's like you actually have to put in a lot of work and effort to finish those homeworks, not just time. So I mean, my college weekends are just usually, I love Friday evening the most because that's like, oh, finally the week's over, and we have 2 full days to do whatever I need to do, so let's just relax. You don't have 2 full days, you have like half a day at most. So I usually just spend a lot of time practicing debates, having the matches, and maybe half a day to just do the homeworks, and sometimes just cheating by copying other people's homeworks, that kind of stuff all kids do. Not all kids, like horrible kids like me do. Anyway, college weekends are not relaxing at all. And grad school weekends, well, to be honest, grad school for me, there's not a very clear line between weekdays and weekends because, STEM grad school, like me, chemistry, is like you go to the lab whenever you feel like it. All right, if you want your projects done, if you want to have good progress, if you don't want to disappoint your PI, may he rest in peace. Love him a lot. Okay, great. So you gotta do enough work, right? So it doesn't matter if you go on a weekend or a weekday. I know a lot of people choose to go on the weekends, both days on the weekends, and they work until like 11, 12 in the evening. So grad school weekends are not really that fun because there's no distinction between weekdays and weekends. A lot of times when people are talking about, oh, I'm gonna go here and there for the vacation, what's your plan? I was like, I don't really have vacations. Every day is the same to me. I decide what you know, to do each day. It sounds good, sounds great, but when you don't have like a clear day off, like you feel like you can work all the time, then you're miserable all the time. You don't feel more relaxed in the weekends. So that's why I said it's weird. I'm looking forward to Friday. I'm looking forward to the weekends, because now you're working and you don't really have to go to work on weekends. Like, you can't go to work on weekends. Nobody's there. And you don't really have to worry anything about it. There's no homework. There's no, well, I guess, I mean, sometimes you have reports that you have to worry about on the weekends, but for me, right now, not really. So the weekends, 2 days starting Friday evening, it's all gonna be very relaxed, you know? That's new to me. That's really good. I guess I should cherish this brief time where I don't have anything else to worry about in my life. You know, probably a lot of people, when they get older, they have kids. Oh my God, that's a nightmare. According to everybody, you know, I've ever met who had kids. Probably not my parents. I mean, my parents are pretty positive about the having kids experience overall. I can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but overall, I think I'm a satisfaction to them. But everybody else I met, no matter, you know, which country they're from, what kind of occupation they have, what kind of kids they have, it's all negative opinions about having kids. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know, that kind of tone. I've never had anybody talk about, oh my God, I love my kids. You know, I can't, you know, live without them. It's, you know, I can't go on a day living without thinking about them. It's such a tragedy if they're not around for a day. You know, nobody talks like that. It's another kind of political correctness, even. Anyways, so I guess I should cherish this brief moment before I have kids, and a lot of other you know, bullshit is gonna happen way down the road. Like your body is gonna be more and more used, and you know, I already start to feel like that. I'm only 27 years old, but I don't feel as young as I was when I was I don't know, just 2-3 years ago. Like, your body's starting to give you signals saying, hey bro, the best time is over, just deal with it. That sucks, because right now, if I don't go to sleep until 11 a.m. like, I don't get on bed and start to prepare for sleeping, you know, I got tired. But before sleeping, what the fuck is that? Let's stay until 2-3 a.m. and play World of Warcraft and you know, not worry about a thing in the morning. Anyways, so today I want to talk about, I've already rambling for like almost 10 minutes about random stuff, but today I actually want to talk about the pandemic. More specifically, how China is handling it. Alright? Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because recently things have gone crazy. Okay, so just give you a brief, like, difference between the Chinese policy and the let's say, the US policy or the Western policy when it comes to dealing with COVID-19 is very different. Due to the value for freedom, or the inability to carry out such restricted policy from the US and the Western countries. You know, I think it's both. US and Western countries, they, in their core values, the individual freedom. Actually, that's probably not true, because they've done a lot of things that fucks up with people's freedom. Like, they locked up Japanese people during World War II just because they're going war with Japan, the country. So they locked up a lot of Japanese people who were totally innocent, most of them, and just because they're Japanese and they're locked down, taking away all freedom and everything. So it's not entirely accurate to say that Western people value freedom, but relatively, I think they cared at least a little bit more than the Chinese government on individual freedom and individual quality of life. Also, the organization of the US government and the Western government in general have less control over, you know, the people's lives in general. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad, depends on perspective, but those two factors led to the viewpoint of the Western countries that they don't want to mess up with people's lives that much. They want to keep them living the way they are to the most of their abilities. and fighting the COVID-19 at the same time. Chinese government, on the other hand, is doing the exact opposite. They want to fight this virus to the best of their abilities, and if they have some kind of extra strength, they want to keep the people's lives in order, but if not, fuck with people's lives. Okay, so that's the background. It has been, you know, the competition between the two sides. I mean the Chinese government handling the COVID-19 and the US government handling the COVID-19 has gone like back and forth. You know, first of all, Chinese government is doing really well. They're controlling the situation. The US is doing really shitty, like hundreds of thousands of increased cases every day. Then, you know, like things are getting better, the vaccine, and now the situation is totally, in my opinion, flipped. Now, I live in the US, okay? My parents and a lot of my friends, a lot of my girlfriend's friends, they live in China. And more specifically, a lot of them live in Shanghai, which is an international city. I feel like a lot of people outside of China would know the city of Shanghai is like, I don't know, one of the few cities you would probably know about China. So, so due to Shanghai's international identity, you know, Shanghai is like probably the New York of China. So it was able to keep itself from the general China's COVID-19 policy for a while. General China's COVID-19 policy is to zero the virus, all right? If anybody is affected, the whole is locked down and everybody has to do the COVID test, right? It's like the PCR test, right? So it's like we have zero tolerance against COVID-19 cases. And that was a big disruption on people's lives. Imagine you can't go anywhere but to lock down your home, sometimes to lock down in the hospital, and you can't go to work, you probably lose your job, your pets are not attended to, your parents are not attended to. If you have something else that is not COVID, you're not treated in the hospital. So all those horrible things, all those sacrifices just to fight COVID. That was the general China's policy. But Shanghai, due to its identity as an international city, it was able to keep itself from that kind of, you know, disturbance of life. Some would say the necessary sacrifices to fight COVID. But a mismanagement has led Shanghai to have a COVID case outburst. Now I'm talking about like a couple of thousand cases a day. I think like 15,000 cases a day, which is pretty huge, considering China is doing really good. Shanghai is doing really good on that front. So the Chinese government, the central government, took over and shut down Shanghai completely. And it was a disaster. Now let me give you some numbers. First of all, Shanghai is a really, really big city, okay? If you think New York City is big, New York has like 8 million people population. Shanghai has 26 million people, all right? More than 3 times as much as New York City's population. So if you think about, okay, 15,000 cases a day is a pretty big, pretty horrifying number. It's not really that horrifying because I've been looking at the data. New York City as the top had like over 20,000 cases a day, all right? And considering that New York City is only 1/3 of the population, that's saying, you know, Shanghai would be having 60,000 cases to be as serious as New York. Now it's not even a quarter of that. So the situation is a little bit hyper, considering I'm just using New York as a benchmark, which is probably not the best benchmark to use. New York is doing pretty horrible at some point of the COVID history. And second of all, right now the cases are mostly Omicron. Omicron is a very, very, very lowly, like not dangerous case when it comes to death rate. The death rate of Omicron is like 3 out of 10,000 or 5 out of 10,000 or something like that. That's a 0.05% of death rate, and all those people who are dead all have pre-existing conditions, which means that if you're healthy, you basically are not going to die from this. If you're young and healthy, you don't have to worry about the fucking thing about Omicron, which is not to say we shouldn't do anything about this. We should of course get vaccinated, and we should be careful wearing masks, you know, social distancing, those are all good, but it's a little bit overreaction to shut down a whole international city of Shanghai over this. That's, you know, that's my opinion. And people are getting sick of all the shutdowns and the disruption of life. At first, they probably are willing to do it because they want to get this over with. They want to cooperate with the government's policies as best as they can, because we've had, you know, situations where we beat the infectious diseases like the swine flu or the H1N1. That's the same thing. Anyways, but now people are getting tired. They are losing money. Businesses are losing money. People are getting, you know, losing their jobs. They don't have a source of income. They're suffering. And now to bring back such a strict shutdown policy is just disruptive. Let me give you a few stories about what's happening in Shanghai. Okay, a pregnant woman who's in labor, okay, go to the hospital, but the hospital is not admitting her. Did not admit her, because the hospital is designed to admit only COVID patients, all right? And those patients, most of them are having no symptom, very little symptom. They heal themselves after a few days and they'll go home. I mean, what the fuck are they doing? Why can't they just stay home to get, you know, self-quarantine, right? That's out of question in China. So a lot of doctors and nurses are just watching those fucking, you know, people with no symptoms to play around with their cell phone and heal by themselves. Well, people really in need, like this woman who was in labor, are not admitted. Okay, that particular woman ended up, I think, losing the child and died because of the situation. She was not getting enough medical help. Okay, and there are like tens of thousands, that's probably an exaggeration, probably hundreds of cases like that in Shanghai and other cities in China throughout the process. Okay, people who have heart attacks or go to the hospital, did not get admitted soon enough, died or have permanent conditions after that. People who, you know, have to go to the hospital to do regular tests and treatment, cannot access medical resources, and they got worse and they died. You know, stuff like that happening all the time. That's the first story. You know, to those people, fuck the Chinese government, right? I don't give a fuck about COVID case. I don't give a fuck about COVID-19, because that's a situation where only 0.05% of people are gonna die from it. All right, I'm 100% gonna die if I don't go to the hospital. It's just, you know, when it comes to sacrificing the few, sometimes they're not the few, for the many, the Chinese government never hesitated about it. Okay, that's the first story. Second story, there's this, those happening in the past 3 days, I think. There's a lot of stories along the way, but there's this woman who's complaining about how the vegetable prices in Shanghai have gone up to as expensive as beef. You know, that's unthinkable. If you think, well, actually vegetables in the US are pretty expensive, sometimes they are as expensive as beef or any other meat, but that was not the situation in China. In China, vegetables are super cheap, okay? They're probably like, a lot of times 1/50th, yeah, 1/50th, like 2% of the price of beef. Now they've gone to the same price as beef and still in demand, okay? People's basic like food need, like nutritious need, are not met, and they're living in Shanghai, one of the biggest cities in China, and there are plenty of vegetables like greens. They're not met. They're not transported to the city because of the shutdown policy. So you have one place where people can't sell their product and they're just letting it to rot, and the other place that people can't buy it even with the price of a beef. Okay, if that's not a serious disruption of people's lives, I don't know what is. You know, and it's like people are stupid. People are like double standard all the time. I'm talking about everybody. Okay, the U.S. people and China. When the I think the COVID first broke down, erupted in the U.S. for like before China, there was a period of time where the China's COVID-19 case is far better than the U.S. And U.S. was shutting down for a while. I don't know if you remember. And then there's like all those articles and pieces, and I got these questions from my parents and friends and living in China. So hey, can you guys still eat food? Do you still have enough vegetables to eat? They're like gloating. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, oh, shitty Americans. Now you know why, you know, Americans suck. Which is understandable in my opinion, because like those two countries are in competition, so it's understandably happy for some people to see other guys do the other side doing bad. But the situations were not so bad. I've never had, like in the past 3 years since 2019, I've never had a situation where I can't buy greens, can't buy beef or meat or you know, carbon dioxide, not carbs, carbohydrate. Yeah, it's like all those things I would like to eat and drink are all accessible. It's like it never happened. So now when it comes to the situation where China is shutting down the biggest city of the world, is having all these horrible shortages of vegetables, what the fuck is going on? All right, I don't see anybody talking about, well, actually a lot of people talking about how bad the situation is, but their posts and you know, international internet posts are like pretty much shut down after a few hours. There are people working for the government trying to control the narrative, trying to control the public's opinion. So that's the second story. You know, there's one side story where a woman is, I think a woman tipped 200 Chinese yuan to a volunteer who delivered a very crucial, like a very fresh vegetable to her father. So there's like volunteers working in China to deliver food and you know, like necessary stuff to people who can't go out of the room because they're shut down. They can't leave their home. So this woman tipped 200 Chinese yuan, which is like, I don't know, like $30–40 to this volunteer for delivering food or vegetables to her father. And the internet got angry at her for tipping too little. Can you imagine what the fuck is going on? I mean, as a pretty cheap tipper, I tip usually 15% and run down. That's what I do. And I can't imagine like tipping $30–40 for delivery is cheap, and people are like pretty much bullying her over the internet. And you know what happened? She killed herself. She killed herself because she can't handle the pressure. She didn't do anything wrong, and she didn't know what the fuck is going on. Sometimes people would, if they think they did something wrong, they wouldn't have killed themselves. It's like villains and bad people and, you know, motherfuckers, they never kill themselves because they knew they were doing wrong and they're okay with it. Okay, it's those people who did not do anything wrong. They can't handle the bullying on the internet. They kill themselves. That's really tragic. It's like people are just showing off their evilness to random people on the internet in such a pandemic. That story broke my heart. And the last story I want to share with you is actually, I mean, it sounds like not as important as the previous two, but it's actually hit me the most. It's this guy who got positive on COVID-19. Who tested positive, right? And the Chinese policy is that, at least in Shanghai, was to, you know, take you to the hospital to quarantine. First of all, I still don't understand. Like I've said it before. I'm saying it again. Why can't you just let these people quarantine at home? Like they're healthy people. They're young. They don't have existing conditions. They probably, I mean, pretty much 100% are not going to die, even have any negative symptoms over COVID-19. They're probably just going to heal themselves for in a couple of days. But still, that's the policy. You have to waste all those medical resources to shut down all those hospitals just for COVID, and to, you know, bring all those doctors, first responders and something to bring these people to hospitals so they can play with their fucking phone while doctors are watching. Okay, so this guy had a dog. All right, I use had because you can see where this story is going. This guy had a dog, and the dog is, you know, nobody can take care of the dog when he's in quarantine. So he said to the officials and the government guys, and said, hey, can I take my dog with me to the hospital to quarantine? I say no. They say no, because, you know, the dogs can be contagious as well. They don't want to bring another living stuff with, you know, with the general public. Okay, that's understandable. So the guy said, well, in that case, can I at least take this dog to my parents' place or to my friend's place? And they said no, because you're not testing positive. You can't go anywhere but straight to the hospital. And then the guy said, oh, can I at least call my friends or parents to come over and take care of my dog? And they said no, because that would be a necessary, you know, move, like people going to places, that's extra risk. So eventually this guy has no choice but to open this door, because he can't like feed his dog for at least like 2 weeks. He's going to quarantine for like 14 or 21 days. The dog's gonna die living in a room, right? So the guy thought, well, maybe the dog has a chance to live if I just open the door and wander around the street probably for like 14 days, and the dog knows where the home is, so he's probably gonna be fine. You know, and that's the best bet. That's a shitty situation, but I understand it. So do you know what happened? The guy got on the car, the vehicle, to be transported to the hospital. The dog, missing his or her you know, friend and a master, followed the car out of the room because the door's open, and then these motherfucking people killed the dog, use motherfucking shovels and kill the fucking dog. You know, that's exactly like my blood pressure was so high when I saw that. I just want to really teleport there and then AK-47 those people. Okay, that was a bit too much, but can you imagine like what kind of people does that? It's a dog. It's one of those dogs that has like little short legs, and they go like do like really cute, you know, that kind of dog, and they kill the dog with a fucking shovel. Okay, and that's okay. It was not the first time where pets were killed made the story during COVID. Like people, they call it neutralize the pets, just like what Hitler did to the Jews during World War II. Okay, neutralize the pet. They go to people's houses when the owners of the house, when homeowners are in quarantine because they're forced to take it away to the hospitals instead of being allowed to stay at home and then self-heal, and they kill their fucking pets. Okay, can you imagine what kind of wave this will cause in anywhere but China? It's just fucking ridiculous. I can't even stop being mad when I'm talking about it. All right, it's just at worst you're destroying people's properties, you're destroying people's wealth, like, because pets are part of the people's property. You're like taking away people's pet without noticing them. That's like, I don't know, robbery at least, right? If you go to someone's house and smash someone's computer, that's not okay. And the Chinese government is doing the same thing it always does to control the narrative. The article I saw about the story is already gone on the internet, like less than 24 hours. It's fucking ridiculous. Shanghai or a lot of places in China are literally hell for people to live in at the moment. All right, I'm not talking about like inconvenience. I'm talking about it's really horrible to live at. All right, and you know what? You know why China is still doing all those things? Like, you know my opinion on this? It's because those motherfucking policymakers don't have to take it. All right, they don't have to take the severe consequences of such COVID-19 policies. Think about it. All right, in China, there's a very important concept of institutionalized. All right, I took this word from the movie like Shawshank Redemption, like where Red says everybody is institutionalized in the prison, so they eventually like it. It's not the same thing, but people in China likes to be institutionalized. They want to get into the system, the government system, where the jobs are secure and they don't really have to do much, just to, you know, people will pay millions of Chinese yuan to get into the system for one position, if you think about it, right? That's a very attractive deal for them. So you can know like how good those positions are. Those government positions, those institutionalized positions, they pay well, they have really good benefits, the jobs are really secure, you're probably never gonna lose your job, and no matter what happens. So these motherfucking policymakers who are institutionalized, they don't feel the pain that COVID shutdown policies is causing to our people. People are losing their jobs, people are losing their pets, people are losing their homes, people are losing their lives, you know, but they don't have to feel about it. Okay, no matter what happened, no matter how people lose their jobs over COVID shutdown, they still have their job, they still get their money, and they probably feel better because, you know, people around them are sinking. So they don't really care about what pain it causes to people to have this fucking shutdown policy at 2022. All right, so it's the same situation where you know, like humans just don't understand each other, just don't really want to do good to the other people unless it does something good to themselves as well. I really feel bad for everybody in Shanghai who has to suffer. Like, you know, I use WeChat. A lot of people post things in WeChat. It's like it's like kind of Instagram equivalent. It's like, it breaks my heart to see their posts of how they can't leave home, they're losing their jobs, they can't pay their mortgage debt because they don't have source of income, they're losing their homes, they have medical conditions, they can't go to the hospital because hospital only treats those motherfucking no symptom COVIDers. And you know, and some people still have the humor to jest about it, but it's painful to watch. All right, yeah, that's everything. I really don't know why. I do know, I just can't like understand it. All right, those motherfucking Chinese policymakers. Okay, it's not like, I feel like the case is, I don't believe the top people like the presidents or the members of the like political committee or something. I don't know the official name. Anyways, the top people in China, I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're not informed. I think they're very good people, intelligent, want everybody in China to make a better living. Because why wouldn't they, right? They're already in top. They're helping themselves by helping the Chinese people in general. I think they make good policies and good decisions in general. It's just those middle fucking little motherfuckers. They always twist their decisions, and they always make the people to pay for it. You know, it's like it was a decision. Actually, my father had to deal with all that kind of bullshit because it's like the top Chinese people, like the policymakers, the top policymakers made a decision to protect the environment, so they limit the amount of pollution that each individual, like each little company can do. It's like there's a number, that's a reasonable number. If you meet with that line, it's like the limit of pollution, you'll be fine, right? But it's like they give this policy to the next level of the policymakers, then those policymakers are ass kissers. They make that line a little bit lower. All right, that's always what happens because they want to make sure they're fine in case some people don't follow the line, and then like let's say the top policymakers say you can't pollute more than 50. It's like 50 anything. It's just a unit. And then the second level of policymakers say, oh, you can't pollute more than 30, because they want to make sure that even if someone polluted 60, then average out, they're still fine. They want to be safe about their own positions, okay? And that kind of things happens layer below layer below layer. Like when it goes down to the layer where my father has to deal with the local authorities, the line is like maybe, I don't know, half or 1/3 of the original amount. So my father's company is like the little furniture making company, has to shut down for a while to like meet with the line, which is totally inappropriate. Okay, it's like the same thing happens in COVID. Maybe the top policymakers, they're making good policies, but the bottom makers, they only care about their own future. They only care about their own position, so they make it harder on people. All right, you have enough layers, you have enough layers of motherfuckers, and people are gonna suffer. I think that's true everywhere, but especially in China. It has been like that since China is, you know, ever first united in, I don't know, like in the Qin dynasty. I really love my country. I love the people there. I love my parents. I love my friends. I love my country. In general, I just hate some of the motherfuckers in China who are making decisions, who are making everybody suffer. All right? I have been a pretty firm, like one of those people who like to go back to China eventually to develop their career or their life. Now I'm not so sure. All right, imagine I'm one of those people who, I mean, I love dogs. Imagine I'm one of those people who found my dog is killed by the motherfucker guy with a shovel when I got back from quarantine. All right, imagine I'm one of those people whose wife is in labor and I can't get her to the hospital and she died on me. All right, imagine I'm one of those people who lost their job because of COVID shutdown and can't pay a mortgage and lose my home and lose my life, become a homeless person, and eventually kill myself. All right, those things are happening in China repeatedly recently. It's just so heartbreaking. I hope things would change. I hope, you know, I have nothing else I can do. I'm just a lowly pharmaceutical industry personnel. So I hope things would change for the better. I hope, I don't hope that those motherfuckers would come to their mind, because they won't. All right, they don't feel the pain. They're sitting home, you know, making these policies, lifting their fingers to make people suffer while they still get paid very well. They don't have to worry a thing. you know, and there's one more thing I want to mention is that there are actually people who, like, I can understand those people who are suffering and want to fight back. They're voicing their disagreements on the policies. All right, of course I understand those people. Those people are revolutionaries. All right, I understand those motherfuckers who are making these bad policies and enjoying it because they don't suffer. Of course I understand them. It's like they're to put at the least selfish or evil. But what I don't understand is that those people who are suffering but they like the policies. It's like, I don't understand. It's like I think there's one shit. Okay. There's this cash only. Not cash only, like this. I was so busy talking to the phone, I forgot I'm in the exit, so I have to choose the easy pass only lane. That's faster. Anyways, so there are these people who are suffering from the policies, but they still want the policies to keep happening. So I think Karl Marx or someone, just like a philosopher or something, where yeah, a great person once said, those people, those slaves who, you know, realize they're being enslaved and being pushed and being, you know, killed, and they want to fight back, those are revolutionaries. And those people who are like oh wait, that's a different thing. Oh right, those people who are slaves but don't realize they're slaves, they're just real slaves, you know. But those people who are slaves and realize they're slaves but they like slavery, those are motherfuckers. It's like well, it was like a word that it's not motherfuckers per se, I'm just paraphrasing, but that was pretty much the gist. It's like the same kind of people who, when Japan invaded China back in World War II, they try to help the Japanese. You know, things like that. I don't know what more to say. It's a horrible situation in Shanghai right now. It probably will be for a while. And I hope everybody is okay eventually, although that's not going to happen with the current policy. Yeah, hope for the best. There's a car in front of me that's going really slow, so if it weren't for that car, I would have made this traffic light. But now I have to wait for, like, I don't know, 3 minutes for this fucking light. It's alright. I'll talk to you next time. Hopefully by next time I have less things to bitch about Chinese policies on COVID. You know, I still remember the time where my parents were calling all the time saying, hey, are you guys safe in the US? Because the US has really loose policy on COVID. Like, they don't really do the shutdowns or the mandatory incarcerations, not incarcerations, like quarantines. But I mean, I was somewhat agreeing with Chinese policy at the time, but now it's like it's gone too far. It's gone really too far. I think it's an article in New York Times or something saying China's policy is evil. It's not evil. It's like a mediocre evil. It's like anyway. All right. I'll talk to you next time. Now I have saliva on my cheek. Let's do so long. Live long, prosper.